fumes were terrible for him in the back of the truck, burning biodiesel and ethanol. Jose wrapped his face in a nylon jacket he kept, trying not to breathe too deeply. He smelled plastic. It was like that for many hours. Then Paraguay. The Chaco had been changed. The plateau had become a massive plot of soy. It took his breath when he first glimpsed it. Climbing the plateau, cresting and seeing the sprawl. This place had been farmed by indigenous peoples forever, but what he saw was very different. There was no one in the field. The fields were massive, stretching beyond vision, but there were no people. The plants looked very lonely. There was a solitary road that cut straight through the sea of green, and Jose was walking it in awe of the spectacle. He never imagined. The road was paved 4 lanes across, and all white dotted lines with 2 solid lines forming the border. He had wolfed here before. He did not understand the change. His pack bounced against his lower back. Inside, wrapped and wrapped, were 3 glass jars containing de oro. De oro is something at this point you will know much about. It is a life-bringing fungal gel they found on the banks of the river, which will be talked about more. Anyway. At times when he was exhausted, he felt like something pushed him further. Whenever the weight got too great, his pack would feel weightless. He was thankful. After a few hours of walking through the endless soy, not seeing anyone, ever, only flies, smelling feces and seeing vultures overhead, he heard planes. They came from the southeast, 4 of them in a line. They were dropping something onto the fields. Fertilizer, pesticide. Jose did not know. He did not understand. It was all too massive. It was too much. It made Jose want to draw, to take a photograph and capture the image, somehow, without losing the intensity of something beautiful that is lost. The planes were drawing closer. They were growing, beginning as 4 black dots in the sky, growing bigger, closer, and dropping their load. Suddenly he felt he had to hide. Soybeans grow short. A man standing in the field is starkly visible. He got low and ran, like a militant, pulling the straps on his pack tight so that it became seamless with his back as he ran hunched. It did not matter where he went, it was all the same for miles in all directions. No trees, nothing. There was no path between the soy plants. They were not tended regularly. Jose hit the ground on his stomach. From the air where he lay, he looked like an apostrophe in the massive green. The planes drew closer. Jose did not move. They were closer, and time just lingered, taking forever, waiting. It takes forever to die, he thought. I bet time slows down. He was hunched in the soy, smelling the soy, seeing the mold that was attacking the stems of some of the plants. It's fine. Black mold, turning the cellulose into jelly, sticky like crude and nasty. He touched it and then tried wiping it from his fingers onto the dirt. Dirt stuck to it. He thought he'd need an emollient. It was resinous. He smelled the soil. Then the first plane went over, trailing vapor. Then the second and third way off to the right. Then the fourth on his left. The first had gone directly over him. The vapor was falling. He looked behind him and saw the 4 planes moving slowly. He got up and ran. As he ran, he reached into his pack under the flap and threw the pull string while running and pulled out a bandana. Hastily he covered his mouth, peeked behind him. The first plane was peeling off from the 4, bearing east and circling back. What the hell, he thought. Jose ran diagonally through the soy and back to the road. He knew he had to go for it. He could hear the plane in the sky behind him, coming for him. Puta, he yelled, aloud. The plane and the sky was on him. It was a bad dream. It felt like a hallucination. It had been gone there to be with farmers, people of the land. There was nothing there anymore. They all had lived modestly of their own volition. His confusion was massive and his heart was pounding, not knowing if he'd be shot in the back while he ran. A submachine gun began to fire. God, 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 I don't want to die. Like a sewing machine thudding into fabric, bullets hit the ground behind him as he ran. He fell to the ground. Bullets penetrated the earth on either side of him. He had not been hit. He thought he had been. He'd wanted them to think he was. The machine gun stopped firing. He wanted to run and hide inside of a hill and never come out. Underground, complete and unseen, protected. The plane circled him once. He did not move. He barely breathed as it passed over him the 3rd time. Then it flew on. Jose did not move. He stayed there, petrified, until the 4 planes flew back over and away again, heading southeast. He knew they saw him from the air as they passed. When they were gone, he cried hard into the dirt. I'm going to read you The Spectral Night in its entirety. And after that, if you want me to read a little bit of the following part, I will, because it has clarity to it. I'll wait for my friends to come in.
You can leave us with the suspense, so we have to read it ourselves.
Well, if you recall, I was talking about the final part and how the book leads up to the final part. The hinge between the 19th part and the 20th part is very crucial. So I'm going to build that for you. Thank you so much for coming. No, it's good. I'm so happy to see you. Would you like to come around and sit on the couch? Wow, really good. Really well. Good to see you. Thank you guys for coming. Good to see. Since you guys are here, let me see. I'm going to do something. I'm going to read a vignette to get our friends down to our frequency.
Thank you.
No worries. Eyes, okay. Number 12. She put on a jazz record and sat me in a leather chair. It had brass studs going up its legs. This place, she said, was her family's, and I commented it was nicer than the airport. She called me Anthony, like my mother did. The room was lit dimly, amber, and there were many books recessed into the walls. There were many candles lit, it being summer and too hot for a fire in the hearth. When I was sat and had my drink, she read aloud to me. Thank you so much for coming. No, it's good. It's beautiful. I'm going to read that part again. It's short and it gets. This is a vignette to be acquainted. Accommodated. Number 12. She put on a jazz record and sat me in a leather chair. It had brass studs going up its legs. This place, she said, was her family's, and I commented it was nicer than the airport. She called me Anthony, like my mother did. The room was lit dimly amber, and there were many books recessed into the walls. There were many candles lit, it being summer and too hot for a fire in the hearth. When I was sat and had my drink, she read aloud to me. The Mountain by Ben Cam. To envision the mountain I am takes strength, a rubber ball bouncing, the lamb's shaky legs. The no and the yes I change, not one thing. Stationary in the fabric, fresh milk, aging. Ate with wine, ate with breasts, ate the worm on Tuesday, a night I was born. Sheltered from a little stream, alone to choose, some choose the dream, a whisper turning to a scream. To envision you must believe. My mountain changes for all who see. It pushes all their boundaries. It was in that moment I knew I loved her. 14. Before I was in the company of light and love, it was golden, a palace of my creation, tiered and domed with gold and light, a river flowing through a section, offset from center, my home, absolute. Then a twinkling, the one that's been there all the time, no limit, never ending, like an ache, inching into inquiry, applying not pressure, of course, I have been before, comprehending hero, accepting like a shield, returning over and again into infinity. I am an epitome. I come for her, my love, falling all over and around her. She is blue and green and smells like no other. She settles heavy with knowing I love her. For all agents of virtue, all that forget in birth, she reminds them. 19. Or the Spectral Night. The night opened blue and spectral, the constellation Orion gesturing toward the north.